The morning at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex felt different, heavier, louder, alive again. Reporters were already packed along the sideline, their cameras fixed on one man who hadn't stepped onto this practice field in weeks. The wind carried whispers of hope through the crowd, and when the black and gold number 56 jogged out of the tunnel, it wasn't just another practice day in Pittsburgh. It was a homecoming. Alex Highsmith was back. The return wasn't just physical, it was emotional. For weeks, the Steelers' locker room had felt like something vital was missing. Sure, TJ Watt had continued to do what TJ Watt does, wreck quarterbacks, command double teams, and keep Pittsburgh's defense in the spotlight. But anyone who's been around this team knew that the other half of that chaos equation was gone. Highsmith's absence wasn't just a loss on paper. It was a hole in energy, rhythm, and leadership. Without him, the defense still worked, but it didn't feel the same. When he jogged out under the cloudy Pittsburgh sky, helmet tucked under his arm, and that familiar look of quiet fire in his eyes. Every reporter there knew what they were witnessing. The return of Alex Highsmith didn't just mean one more pass rusher. It meant the return of balance. It meant that the Steelers' storm on the edge was finally back at full strength. Fans watching live updates on social media exploded instantly. "Let's go, he's back." One post read, "Highsmith and Watt together again. Quarterbacks beware." The tweets kept coming, clips went viral, and just like that, the energy around the Steelers' defense shifted overnight. What had been a unit surviving without its rhythm suddenly looked ready to dominate again. But the story isn't just about recovery. It's about timing. Because this return didn't happen in a vacuum. It came right in the middle of a defensive awakening led by one of Pittsburgh's youngest rising stars, Nick Herbig. The rookie had been electric. Every rep, every play, every snap, he made sure people knew his name. In Highsmith's absence, Herbig had become the fan-favorite underdog. The next man up who didn't just fill a gap. He lit one up, and that's where the suspense begins. When Highsmith returned to drills, all eyes weren't just on him, they were on them. Highsmith, the veteran warrior, proven, composed, battle-tested. Herbig, the young lion, fearless, hungry, eager to claim his spot in the jungle. The moment the two lined up side by side in warm-ups, you could feel it. Not tension, not rivalry, but something deeper. A challenge. A test of fire and steel. Coach Mike Tomlin stood at midfield, arms crossed, that familiar, unreadable look on his face. He's seen this story before. The passing of torches, the rise of duos, the shaping of legacies. He didn't need to say anything. The field would do all the talking. And that's exactly what it did. As the first defensive drills kicked off, Highsmith exploded off the line like he never left. His first bull rush sent the offensive tackle stumbling back. His next spin move drew a whistle and a murmur from the sidelines. Reporters were typing fast. The man hadn't missed a beat. But right after his rep, Herbig lined up and answered. Same drill. Same energy. He burst through the line with a speed that made coaches lean forward. You could feel it in the air. The iron was sharpening iron. For the veterans watching from the sideline, it was a show. For the coaches, it was a gift. For the fans, it was a promise. Because this wasn't just one player coming back, it was a storm brewing. The kind of storm Pittsburgh defenses are built on. But here's the twist. While fans celebrated Highsmith's return, inside the locker room, the atmosphere had quietly shifted. Players knew what this meant. Reps would change. Roles would shift. Herbig's breakout had forced the coaching staff to rethink everything. Snap counts, line rotations, blitz packages. Now, with Highsmith back, the question wasn't whether Pittsburgh had the talent. The question was, how do you use it all? The defense that once ran on balance was now overloaded with power. And power, if not managed, can turn to friction. In post-practice interviews, Tomlin brushed off questions with his signature calm confidence. "We're just getting better every day," he said. But behind the scenes, whispers began. Was this the start of the league's most dangerous edge duo? Or the beginning of a quiet battle for the future? For Highsmith, this return isn't about proving he belongs. He already does. It's about re-establishing command, reminding everyone why he earned that contract, that respect, that reputation. For Herbig, it's not about stepping aside. It's about stepping up. Every rep is a statement. Every play a declaration that the new generation isn't here to wait. It's here to compete. And right there, between the veteran and the rookie, between the calm and the chaos, between history and hunger. That's where the heart of this story lives, because this isn't just about a player coming back from injury. It's about what happens when a return threatens to rewrite the balance of power. When practice ended that day, the cameras zoomed in on Highsmith walking off the field, helmet tucked under his arm, Herbig trailing just a few steps behind him. The two exchanged a nod, silent, respectful, but charged with meaning. Steel sharpens steel, and in Pittsburgh, that's how dynasties are born. The return of Alex Highsmith isn't just a comeback story. It's the ignition of something bigger, a new energy, a brewing rivalry, a reminder that in this city, you don't earn your name by showing up. You earn it by standing tall when someone else tries to take your spot. The question now isn't whether Highsmith is back. He is. The real question, the one the NFL will be asking soon, is whether Pittsburgh just discovered a defensive duo that no offense can survive. Because sometimes a comeback doesn't restore order. It rewrites it. And the next chapter? That's where the storm hits full force. The next morning, Pittsburgh didn't just wake up, it buzzed. The energy around the Steelers' facility felt like the calm before a thunderstorm. Reporters had gathered early, drone cameras hovered above the field, and the sound of cleats crunching on turf echoed like thunder rolling in from the Allegheny. Everyone knew why they were there. Alex Highsmith wasn't just back. Today, he was practicing at full speed. And across the field, standing in his way, was Nick Herbig, the rookie who had become Pittsburgh's newest obsession. That it wasn't personal. It was destiny. The whistle blew, and the two lined up for their first one-on-one rush drills. Coaches didn't need to say anything. They just stepped back and let the scene unfold. What followed looked less like practice and more like a collision between two eras. Highsmith, the seasoned predator, all control and technique. Herbig, the young lion, all fire and instinct. When the snap came, they exploded off the line like twin lightning bolts. Herbig's first step violent and quick, Highsmith's movement sharp, efficient, deadly. The crowd gasped as both tore past their blockers in near-perfect sync. Converging at the imaginary quarterback, the play ended with silence. Not because it wasn't impressive, but because everyone was still trying to process what they just saw. Two forces, two generations, moving with the same purpose, the same hunger, the same refusal to be second best. And that's when the whispers began. Inside the building, the debate grew louder. Analysts were already crafting headlines. Herbig versus Highsmith, the future of the Steelers' edge. Is a rookie ready to challenge a veteran? Social media fueled the fire. Fans split into camps. Some praised Herbig's rise, calling him the next great linebacker in black and gold. Others defended Highsmith fiercely, reminding everyone of his dominance, his leadership, his proven war record. But for the men inside that locker room, it wasn't about attention, it was about pride. After practice, players talked quietly among themselves. "Man, those two were flying," one lineman said. "That's not competition, that's combustion." Even TJ Watt, the silent storm himself, cracked a smile when asked about it. "Iron sharpens iron," he said simply. "We've got a lot of iron in this room." Still, beneath the respect, something raw simmered. Highsmith had fought too hard to be doubted. He'd clawed his way up from a small school prospect to one of the league's best pass rushers. He wasn't about to let anyone, not even a talented rookie, steal his thunder. Herbig, on the other hand, had never known hierarchy. He'd grown up idolizing players like Highsmith, yes, but he wasn't here to be anyone's understudy. He was here to make his own name. The next few days at practice felt like a heavyweight fight, not of fists, but of wills. Every rep was faster, every drill louder, every collision harder. Reporters wrote about friendly competition, but those close to the field knew better. This wasn't friendly. It was ferocious. And then came the twist. During the team's final scrimmage before game day, something unexpected happened. Highsmith lined up on one edge, Herbig on the other. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Usually, it was Watt and Highsmith running together. But what had rotated out, and Tomlin, in his typical quiet genius, let the two share the field. What followed was pure chaos. The kind of chaos that wins football games. The snap came. The offensive line tried to hold, but they never stood a chance. Herbig bent the corner with unreal quickness, forcing the quarterback to step up, right into Highsmith's path. Highsmith came crashing in from the opposite side, eyes locked, arms reaching. The two met at the same point. Boom. The quarterback sandwiched between them, the ball flying loose. The sideline erupted. Players screamed. Coaches raised their fists. The sound inside the indoor facility was deafening. Fumble recovered. Defense celebrating. Tomlin watching. Expression unreadable, but his eyes giving everything away. Satisfaction. That moment changed everything. The rivalry that everyone expected to divide the locker room suddenly became the engine that drove it. Instead of competing against each other, Highsmith and Herbig started competing with each other. Every practice became a synchronized storm. Two relentless edge rushers feeding off the same hunger, the same fire. Watt himself joked in an interview, "I might need to start watching my snaps. These two are coming for everything." Highsmith, once the mentor, started pulling Herbig aside after drills, giving him small pointers, hand placement, spin timing, leverage angles. Herbig listened, absorbed, then pushed back on the field like a sponge turned into steel. The transformation was undeniable. What began as a competition had evolved into chemistry by the time game day arrived. The Steelers' defensive unit didn't just look ready, they looked possessed. The defensive line buzzed with confidence. The linebackers moved in sync. And that edge, that dangerous, unpredictable, relentless edge, was sharper than ever. The game started. And from the first snap, you could feel it. The energy was different. Every time the opposing quarterback dropped back, he looked uneasy. First drive, pressure from Highsmith, incomplete pass. Second drive, Herbig chased him out of the pocket. Third drive, both collapsing from opposite sides again, the pocket folding like paper, leading to a sack. The camera caught Watt on the sideline, grinning ear to EAR.BY halftime. The opposing offense looked broken. By the fourth quarter, commentators weren't talking about the Highsmith return anymore. They were talking about the new Steelers' edge. The climax came late in the fourth. One last defensive stand. The offense needed a score, the crowd was deafening, and the quarterback dropped back one more time. But he never even saw them coming. Highsmith from the right, Herbig from the left. A blur of black and gold. The hit landed clean, fierce, perfect. Ball out. Watt scooped it, sprinted downfield, waving the towel as fans erupted like thunder. Final score, Steelers win. Final story, domination reborn. And in that moment, the rivalry, the tension, the speculation, all of it melted into something beautiful. Because this wasn't the story of a veteran reclaiming his throne. It wasn't the story of a rookie rising too fast. It was the story of Steelers football. The story of two men, two generations, one standard. The relentless pursuit of greatness. AS reporters crowded Highsmith and Herbig after the game. They both smiled when asked about their so-called competition. Competition? Highsmith said with a smirk. That's not competition. That's chemistry. Herbig nodded. We're not trying to outshine each other. We're trying to destroy everything in front of us. That line went viral overnight. #SteelEdge trended across social media. Fans flooded comment sections with one word, unstoppable. And maybe they were right. Because what began as a question, can they coexist, had turned into a statement that echoed across the NFL. You can't stop what Pittsburgh's building on the edge. Alex Highsmith's return didn't just restore the defense. It reignited it. It reminded everyone, from rookies to legends, that in this city, you don't fade when someone new rises. You rise together, harder, louder, stronger. And as the lights dimmed in the stadium that night, as the players walked off the field, shoulder to shoulder, Herbig leaned toward Highsmith and said just 5 words that summed up everything. Let's make him fear us. Highsmith grinned. Already do. And just like that, the torch wasn't passed. It was shared, because in Pittsburgh, legends aren't replaced if they're multiplied.